His hand shook as he locked the cold steel around my wrist. I didn't flinch. The call behind me, still live, flickered with red lights. Pentagon Command was watching everything through my laptop camera. "You think you're smart? Faking military crap in my house?" Mike barked. I stayed silent. Then, the rumble came. 5 matte black SUVs pulled up outside. Uniformed agents stepped out, fast, precise. Mike's face went white. He backed away, whispering, "What? What did you do?" I raised my eyes slowly. "You'll find out." Like gripping stories with wild twists, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. Things are just getting started. 2 months before the handcuffs, before the SUVs, before Mike realized who I really was, I moved back home. No one knew why. My excuse was simple. Just between jobs, needed a break. It was easier than listing code names, classified locations, or the real reason I had to disappear for a while. Mom welcomed me with open arms. She had remarried while I was away. Her new husband, Mike, ran a small car repair shop in town. Tall, loud, the kind of man who needed to be in charge of every situation. I knew the type. He didn't like me from the start. I could feel it in the way he looked at me, like I was some lazy adult child refusing to grow up. I'd get up early, do the dishes, buy groceries, sweep the porch. Still, he'd grunt something like, "You ever gonna get a real job?" I'd smile politely. "I'll figure it out soon." Letting people underestimate you has its advantages. I pretended to browse job boards on my laptop, when in reality I was running simulations, managing satellite feeds, and reading live intel bulletins. My actual work took place in a private digital world far beyond this sleepy neighborhood. But even wolves in calm clothes can draw unwanted attention. I kept everything subtle. Late-night calls through secure lines, encrypted apps, no physical files, no uniforms, no medals hanging on the walls. My closet had nothing but jeans and simple clothes. Even my old military bag was locked in storage. I wanted peace, just for a while. But Mike? He couldn't stand mystery. The more polite I was, the more suspicious he got. He started asking questions he had no business asking. "Where are you going?" "Who's that calling at night?" "What's with all the whispering?" He even said once to my mom, loud enough for me to hear, "You sure she's not into anything illegal?" Mom laughed it off. Bless her. "Liana's smart. She's just trying to figure things out. Give her space." But Mike didn't want to give me space. He wanted control. One evening when I came back from a short meeting with an old contact, he was already sitting on the porch, arms crossed. "You get a job yet?" he asked. "Not yet. Still sorting things out," I said. "You know, grown women shouldn't be living off their mom." I felt the sting of that. But I nodded. Not because I agreed, but because getting into a fight with him would ruin the quiet life I was trying to protect. That night, I listened through my earpiece as my team debriefed me on an intercepted data breach attempt on one of our military satellites in the Middle East. Mike, meanwhile, sat in the living room watching reruns at full volume. Different worlds. One roof. I had handled dangerous people before. Hostile agents, rogue scientists, undercover missions in war zones. But I had a growing feeling. One I couldn't shake every time I heard Mike's footsteps outside my door. Something told me he wasn't going to leave my secrets alone. People think generals look like soldiers in movies. Always in uniform, medals shining, barking orders. Truth is, power doesn't always wear camo. Sometimes it wears old jeans and a hoodie. Every morning I made eggs, watered mom's plants, and acted like someone between jobs. But by 7 a.m., behind the locked door of my old bedroom, I became General Liana Brooks, one of the highest-ranking females inside the nation's secure defense network. My laptop didn't just browse job forums. It was tapped into Command Alpha. Only 12 of us had access. We oversaw threat detection, coordinated defense strategies, and handled signals too classified for even senior officials. My second in command, Colonel Reyes, was a calm, brilliant man who lived in codes and silence. I trusted him with my life. Every morning at 7:05, he greeted me with 3 words that always made my heart speed up a little. Status. Standing red. It meant something was moving. Some days it was just a diplomatic alert or a satellite glitch. Other days, it was worse. Possible cyber infiltration, rogue drones crossing into restricted airspace, threats disguised as random events, things that couldn't hit the news or the country would collapse from panic. But while I was discussing defense grids and silent strikes, Mike was hammering away at something in the garage, swearing like the world owed him a paycheck. I'd hear him slam things, yell into the phone, or mumble to himself when Mom wasn't listening. He had a short fuse, and I could feel him watching me more lately. My day never ended entirely. Even after I shut down command channels, I kept my emergency comm link, a tiny earpiece in case something broke while I was off duty. One click, and I was back in, even if I was in pajamas. Reyes and the team respected my choice to stay off-grid for a while, but make no mistake, if something serious went down, I was expected to lead. No excuses. Still, it wasn't the missions that made me nervous. It was Mike. He didn't know what I was. He didn't even know my middle name. But he watched me walk down the hallway every day like he was waiting to catch me doing something wrong. He'd glance at my laptop when he passed the table. Once, I caught him trying to look at my phone when I left it charging in the living room. I'd seen that kind of look before in combat. The look of someone restless, needing control, needing answers. But Mike wasn't trained for real war. He didn't know that. The quieter I became, the more dangerous the situation really was. One afternoon, I slipped up. In the middle of an update, Reyes said, "General Brooks, Command Alpha needs elevation immediately." Mike passed by my room door the same second and froze. He heard it. Not just the word command, but my last name. Brooks. He looked at me strange during dinner that night, his arms crossed too tight, his smile too forced. I kept my posture relaxed, but my fingers tapped unconsciously on the table in perfect rhythm. 3 short beats, code black pending. Something was coming. I could feel it. Mike's questions didn't stop after that slip. He stopped calling me kid and started calling me Brooks a lot more, like he was trying to poke at something, see how I'd react. I didn't bite. I continued moving around the house like nothing had changed, but I knew something had. He had become focused. Too focused. He stopped yelling as much, which was worse. He got quieter, calculating. I'd catch him walking past my door like he didn't realize I saw his shadow under the crack. Once, I left to buy groceries. When I came back, my laptop had been pushed slightly to the left. Only I noticed. That was enough. I locked it from then on, but it didn't feel like enough. At dinner, Mike would bring up nonsense topics that felt strange coming from him. "You ever seen that show where the daughter turns out to be in the CIA?" he said one night with a weird smirk. Mom chuckled. "Liana can barely keep a houseplant alive. She's not in the CIA." "She disappeared for years." Mike shrugged. "Who knows what she was doing?" I didn't look up. Just kept eating my rice like nothing was wrong. But inside, my heartbeat started tapping out another warning. A week later, it got worse. I was sitting outside on Mom's porch watching the trees sway when I heard Mike's truck engine fire up early. Too early. He was always slow in the mornings. I got up, slipped back into the house, and checked my connected camera system on a separate device. Sure enough, his truck had pulled out, but just 3 minutes later it parked down the block, engine off. He didn't go anywhere. He just waited, observing. I had seen enemy scouts behave the same way in hostile zones. Sit, watch, wait for the weakest moment. Later that day, I had a meeting with Colonel Reyes. We kept it short and in person, just a few words exchanged while pretending to be 2 friends catching up at a quiet cafe miles away. It wasn't unusual. I had to stay ahead of Mike before he pushed the wrong buttons. When I returned home, Mike was sitting near the front door, arms crossed. "That guy," he said, locking eyes with mine. "The guy you met today?" He military? Old school friend, I answered casually. Mike smiled tight again. Yeah, bet. He didn't push more. Not then. But tension smothered the house after that. That night, I ran my standard sweep of the house. I checked for extra sounds behind walls, cameras, recording devices, old habits from the field. Nothing showed up. He wasn't that sophisticated yet. But the next morning, something new happened. I woke up to find my secure cable, used to connect clean video lines, unplugged and tangled. I never left cables like that. The only people who crossed lines they were told not to were people about to cross another one. I didn't report it. Not yet. But I logged the warning. Third infraction. Civilian status. Threat level. Moderate. I had one more chance to keep this under control on my own terms. After that, protocol would kick in. And once protocol starts, as it doesn't stop. It started as a flicker, barely noticeable unless you knew what to look for. My tablet blinked twice. Not a battery issue, not a signal drop. Communication interference. Something small, but poking around where it shouldn't be. I shut everything down and rebooted through the side channel. It confirmed it for me. Unauthorized probing attempt near my home network. It wasn't some outside hacker. It was someone close. I didn't panic, not outwardly. But internally, I notified. Colonel Reyes. Possible local breach, I said quietly. His reply was calm, calculated. Confirm source, minimal escalation. That was Reyes, never lost his cool. But we both understood what a slip like that could mean. Military-grade encryption isn't easy to crack. It only lights up like that when someone physically close starts messing with things they don't understand. I didn't need a name. I had already narrowed it to one man. Mike. He had crossed the line. Not by chance this time, but by choice. Later that day, I decided to test him. I left a drive on the kitchen table, completely harmless, blank, designed only to bait. When I got back from a walk, half an inch of dust was wiped off the top of it. He touched it. Not only was Mike snooping, he was getting bolder, with zero idea what kind of fire he was playing with. Now I had a decision to make. I could file an internal civilian incident report. After 3 verified infractions, someone in his position could be flagged for deeper investigation. But doing that would alert my mother. It would break apart the house. And part of me still didn't want to see her hurt. So I waited. That night, I listened in on my secure channel as Reyes gave an update on a breached communications relay overseas. The signal looked domestic, meaning someone inside the U.S. had gotten their hands on low-grade government frequencies. Could be one of ours or someone pretending to be, he said. I stayed silent. Was it connected to what I saw here? Possibly. Possibly not. But between Mike's behavior and the signal spike on my street, I couldn't risk assuming it was random. Prepare Tier 2 lockdown protocol, I said. Don't launch yet. Wait for my green light. Copy. Standing by. Back in the house, things got colder. Mike barely spoke to me anymore, but his eyes followed me like shadows do in the dark. He'd turn down the TV when I passed through the living room. One time, when I was walking to the kitchen, he was just standing there, doing nothing. No tools in hand, no reason. Just watching. My mother didn't notice. She thought the silence was everyone just trying to get along. I wish she was right. But I was already preparing. I scheduled an emergency call with the Pentagon under Tier 2 security, just in case anything escalated. That meant encrypted video, biometric access, and fully cloaked location relays. The kind of setup we only use during live threats or high-level leaks. Something about this just felt different. Like I wasn't dealing with a regular man anymore. I was dealing with a threat growing in my own house, one that thought he was in control. And I knew something he didn't. That call would change everything. The day started quiet. Too quiet. I've learned that calm can be fake, just the world holding its breath before it breaks. That morning had that kind of stillness. Even the birds outside weren't chirping. I woke up at 4:30 a.m., like always. I didn't eat, I didn't stretch. I slipped straight into protocol. Today's Pentagon call was under Tier 2 lockdown. My team was already prepping the secure servers. The intelligence division was coming online through multiple encrypted nodes. The room was dark except for my laptop. Screen lit, green bars flickering. I was connected, eyes all on me. "Begin biometric scan," said the voice on the other end. Verification ran. Voice, retina, pulse. I leaned forward into the glow and said, "General Liana Brooks, Clearance Alpha 6, reporting for underground escalation threat review." Then, boom. My door slammed open. Mike, hair messy, breath tight, a storm behind his eyes. He had waited for this moment, probably all night. "What the hell are you doing?" he hissed. "You think I don't see you sneaking around, talking to God knows who?" I stayed seated, still in front of an active line to the Pentagon, still calm. "Mike, get out. Please," I said slowly. He stepped into the room anyway, saw the flashing map on my screen. Military grids, waveforms, a digital satellite feed updating in real time. He froze for half a second, and then lost it. "I knew it. What is this? Who are you talking to? What is this garbage?" He grabbed my laptop, yanked the screen partially closed. The call didn't drop, but the line went dim. My camera was still rolling. They saw everything. I didn't move. I locked my eyes on his face and said, "Put that down." But Mike didn't back off. He reached behind, pulled something shiny from his belt. Handcuffs. He actually had handcuffs. "I don't know who you're working for, but you're not fooling me anymore," he growled. "You're dangerous, and until we get the cops here, you're not going anywhere." Click. One cuff on my wrist. Cold steel tightening. He tried to pull my other arm, but I turned my body just enough to resist. I wasn't scared, but I had to look scared. If I fought back, it would escalate worse. And there was something he didn't know. My camera, still operational. The entire Pentagon call, still streaming. Reyes, on the other end, watching every move. Mike thought he had power, that he finally caught me. But I wasn't a criminal. I wasn't a hacker. I wasn't some secret agent stealing from the government. I was the government. And my team was already responding. Suddenly, a stuttering silence filled the room. No more yelling. Mike stepped back, confused by my calmness, his own breathing heavy, chest puffed up like he'd just won a fight. Then a distant sound began, a low hum, growing louder, tires on pavement, then the crunch of gravel. He turned toward the window. I didn't say a word, just stared at the flickering screen while behind him. 5 black SUVs pulled up to the house in perfect formation. Doors opened. Boots hit the ground. Mike's lips moved, but no sound came out. He looked at me again. And for the first time, he looked afraid. Mike stood frozen by the window like someone had ripped the wind out of his lungs. He kept blinking like the scene outside would disappear if he just stared long enough. It didn't. 5 black SUVs. No logos, no plates. Just sleek metal, tinted windows, and controlled movement. Each vehicle parked with precision, engines purring low and deadly. The front door opened fast. 4 agents stepped inside. Suits, earpieces, guns holstered, but ready. Mike stumbled back from the window just as the lead agent entered the hallway. He wasn't yelling. No dramatic entrance. Just calm, trained authority, like a man who knew he was always in control. "Sir," his voice cut through the air like steel. "Step away from the general." Mike stared at him, then at me, then back again. General?" he stuttered. What general?" The agent didn't respond. Didn't need to. He walked toward me and tapped a small black scanner on the handcuffs. With a soft click, they snapped open. Cool air rushed onto my wrist. I stood slowly. Not dramatic, not angry, just centered. Quiet. Mike didn't move. "Your name is Michael Harlan?" the second agent asked. His tone was sharper now. You are currently involved in the physical interference of a federal defense operation. This residence has been flagged under secure surveillance for over 48 hours. You were warned multiple times to disengage. Wait, what? Mike turned to me. You're in the military? I looked him straight in the eyes. I'm not in the military, Mike, I said calmly. I run it. His mouth opened, but he still had no words. The third agent handed me my tablet. General Brooks, Tier 2 emergency call has been restored. Colonel Reyes is standing by. I nodded and tapped my earpiece. This is Brooks. Standing red has been cleared on site. Reyes's voice flowed through instantly. Copy that. Authorities inbound for civilian apprehension. Interference recorded and logged. How's your hand? Unharmed. There was a pause. He put handcuffs on you? Yes. Another pause. Understood. Additional flags noted in his record. I muted the link. The lead agent looked at me. You'd like us to proceed with protocol? I inhaled. The whole room was still. Mike finally snapped. Wait, hold on. I thought she was faking something. No one told me anything. She was always whispering, secret calls, disappearing. You can't just show up here like this. You placed her in restraints during an active Pentagon briefing, one of the agents replied flatly. That's obstruction of national security. There's no YouTube apology for that. I watched Mike's face fall. His usual fire turned to ash. He looked smaller now, like too much of the world had just hit him all at once. The agents surrounded him, hands behind his back. Real cuffs this time. Official. My mother wasn't home. I was grateful for that. Mike struggled weakly as they walked him past me. He kept repeating, She didn't say anything. She didn't look like a general. I turned to face him one last time as the front door opened. No, I said quietly. I didn't need to. And with that, he was gone. The house was quiet again. But it wasn't peace. It was aftermath. The kind of stillness that only comes after something big breaks, and everyone is afraid to move, to speak, to breathe wrong. Mike was gone, taken into custody for interfering with a federal operation. The agents didn't shout, didn't slam doors. They were surgical. Clean. By the time my mother came home from her lunch shift, there wasn't a single trace left of the SUVs. Just me, sitting at the kitchen table, tea in hand like nothing had happened. She looked around, confused. Where's Mike? I paused, then said gently, He's not coming back. She blinked, started to ask something, but I raised my hand just slightly. She saw it. The look in my eyes. A calm she hadn't seen before. Maybe she'd never really seen. Mom, I said softly, there are things I couldn't tell you. For your safety. My job. It's not what you think. Her breath caught. You're not in trouble, are you? No, I shook my head. But I deal with dangerous things every day. I came home because I needed rest. I needed normal. But Mike wasn't safe to keep around. I wanted to handle it quietly. She swallowed hard but didn't cry. She just sat across from me, her eyes searching my face. I knew you were special, she said. Always knew. I just didn't know how much. I nodded. And that was it. That was all she needed to say. She was strong like that. After she went upstairs, I opened my laptop again. The screen lit up, and Reyes came on almost immediately. General, he said, voice calm as always. You did well. No civilian casualties. Operation contained. Wasn't exactly part of the plan, I muttered, adjusting my earpiece. No plan survives contact, he replied. But you adapted. I glanced out the window. The street looked the same. Trees swaying gently. Mail truck pulling up. Somewhere, a lawnmower was buzzing. But I wasn't the same. I didn't come back to escape the battlefield. I came back thinking I could pretend to be something smaller. Now I knew the truth. I wasn't built to be small. The country didn't need me hiding behind chores and neutral smiles. It needed me sharp, aware, leading. even from homes with leaky faucets and creaky steps. "Put me back on rotation," I said. There was no hesitation. "Confirmed. Tier 1 clearance reactivated, first briefing in 60 hours. I leaned back, pushing away the tea. "Send me everything." As the files began downloading, I heard Mom humming in the hallway upstairs, just like always, trying to hold on to her version of normal. And me? I wasn't pretending anymore. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it walks with quiet steps, takes out the trash, and eats dinner with people who don't know who you are. Until one day they find out. And by then, it's too late, because you weren't hiding. You were simply waiting. And now? I was done waiting.